and opportunities for storytelling and community building. And Odelia and I actually came together by a variety of different ways, but we all came together because we share this common passion and common love for storytelling. Odelia comes from the West Indies and then rural Indiana. My family comes from Vietnam and an ethnic enclave in Orange County. But somehow we came together and discovered so many things that we had in common by all the stories that we were sharing. One of the most interesting stories that I found is that both Black and Vietnamese people love Hennessy. So that was something that was a really fun way. And so we've been trying to find more ways to bridge.
And I learned not to try and keep up with Vietnamese uncles when they're drinking.
Yeah, so she learned her lesson. But we've discovered that there are so many beautiful ways in which we can bridge differences through stories. And so it's really important to us in everything that we do that we bring storytelling and community building to our work. So we work with individuals, we work with businesses, local communities, to bring all those elements in order to help you figure out how to have your best self. And so This Is My Body is one of the programs that we're most proud of and is one of our flagship programs. And Odelia is going to share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so This Is My Body is a storytelling showcase of women storytellers, and not just any women storytellers, but it is a space for women who might not feel like creative spaces is for them, like amateur women storytellers, and through writing workshops and performance workshops, they have taken an idea all the way to, what you're going to see here on stage, and it's going to be a 5-ish, because we're all women of color, so 5-ish minutes, one woman show on the theme, This Is My Body. And the theme is really important to us for just personal reasons, and especially for me, like things I've gone through with trauma in my past, and thinking about it's not just like that moment to think about, but all the moments before that, like the first moment the women are told that we don't own our bodies and it belongs to everyone else. And what does it look like for us to retell that story for ourselves and to continue to grow from that. And so Bo Taplin said that our body is not a temple, because temples can be desecrated and destroyed, but that our bodies are forests and wild canopies of things growing, and no matter what happens, it will continue to grow back again. So I really hope that you enjoy tonight and think about all the ways that these women and yourselves have regrown your bodies and your lives over the years. Great, well, I'm gonna introduce our first performer. And I met Brittany on a Wednesday night. We're all part of a small group right here in this room at our church. And she walked in and she smiled. And I was like, this woman has the most radiant smile of anyone I've ever seen. And just having her energy in the room is always positive. She is the first to snap. She is the first to say yes. She is the hype queen of our group. And thank you so much for playing that role. And tonight, for all of you, we wanted to share a few words from one of your fellow performers who wrote something for you to help introduce you. So this is a message to you, Brittany, from Mariko. Brittany's laugh and positive energy can fill a room. She has consistently provided the boost or encouragement some of us needed to keep moving forward, either with feedback, pep talks, or a well-timed yes. I'm excited for our audience to connect with and adore her as much as the rest of our group. Please help me in welcoming Brittany Enan with her piece, Beauty Gap.
In my 24th sun cycle of life, telling stories about my body comes with the clarity of retrospective reflection. Because up until the Lord walked into my life, I did not know what it was like to be in my body. I only knew how to exist and survive. Now that I'm in a place of thriving, however, I can I have the soul space to appreciate the totality of my physical self that has gotten me this far in this beautiful yet broken society. My story to tell today is about my teeth. I created the gap between my teeth. For 14 years, I sucked on my index and middle fingers on my right hand, my milk teeth shifted to lay away for the permanent placing of my long-term teeth, whose top and bottom rows would never touch. I don't regret my actions, though. My finger sucking was my way of coping with the rumbling in my tummy that reflected the black hole darkness of the empty kitchen cupboard. This is the first lesson my gap taught me: how to be full on space. During the holiday gatherings with my Ghanaian relatives, spending time amidst the aromas of jollof rice and peanut butter soup filling my lungs, my joyful smile was regarded by my Ghanaian elders. Your smile is so pretty. The gap between your teeth means you are pretty in our Ghanaian culture. I was in awe as they continued to tell me that my gap also signified intelligence. This is why I'm a straight A student, I thought. Looking back on my preteens, I realized that I longed for homeland acceptance, being a first-generation Ghanaian American. This was the second lesson that my gap taught me: the gap between my Ghanaian ancestry and my American reality. Nevertheless, learning this ancestral truth taught me that I never have to question my intelligence or my beauty, because my ancestors never did. Returning to school the following Monday, I pitied the metallic mouths of my middle school, middle-class peers who day after day were pushing through the pain of wearing braces, striving for the straight teeth of the American mainstream. Thank God I never have to do that. Or so I thought. On the 30th anniversary of my mom's immigration to America and my senior year of college, my mom gave me advice to help me enter the adult world. You need to close your gap with braces when you get a high-paying job with your degree. People make judgments about the way that you look and can take away opportunity if you don't look like an American. There was no questioning her words. After all, she came to this country with nothing and only has her children to show for her efforts. My financial success is her survival, and I would do anything to leave the vestiges of American poverty. So upon my graduation and entry into white-collar employment, I plan to use my newly gotten dental insurance to achieve the American dream bestowed upon me. I was going to close my gap and become a middle-class professional. Then my ancestors intervened. 2 months into my new job, I participated in a racial equity training. I walked into a room with chairs arranged in a circle with both melanated and non-melanated colleagues filling them. The topic was internalized racism, and I took my seat confident that the snowflake people had so much more to learn than I did. A handout was passed out, and it was labeled Internalized Racism Inventory. I start looking at the examples, and I look at number 7, which stated, do I intend to alter my physical features to obscure or hide my cultural or ethnic features? I gasped at the horror of the yes echoing inside my body. I intended to bind my teeth with metal ropes, like the British used rope to bind my ancestors to captivity. I was going to throw away my gap-toothed heritage for a white supremacist acceptance that would never be mine because I'm still fat, black, and a woman. Present in my renewed commitment to preserve my gap teeth, my ancestors spoke, teaching me my final lesson. Loving yourself will never come from chasing after the ideals in a society that wasn't built to understand your majesty. That night, I went home humbled and grateful, and I went to my mirror to both greet and to apologize to my beauty gap that I had taken for granted and almost erased. Suddenly, I saw light wash over me, radiance casting out the darkness of the classist, white supremacist beauty standards that had hold over my life. When I smile, so confident and unashamed, the grace, love, and compassion I have for others emerges. The beauty and support of my Ghanaian ancestors rebuke the negativity of those who don't love their imperfections. The joyful laughter that is able to echo much louder because of the extra space in my mouth. My gap is a daily affirmation that I am intelligent, beautiful, and loved. There is no question, only abundance of the emotional, spiritual, and monetary sort is going to come and fill all that space, supported in radical self-love. Ashe.
To go back on the road, and I mumble something I know will make you angry because I'm just too emotionally exhausted to take the high road. Imagine my surprise when I see your hands curl into a fist and sock me from the passenger seat. Driving. I'm driving. Remain calm, get control, just get home. Home. The place you were supposed to be for me, where your proclamation of love contrasted with every action and word you sent my way. Tumne ye kiya hai. You did this. If you would just listen to me, this wouldn't have happened. Keep driving. Just keep driving. You wait for my response, but my silence just angers you further. And in a fit of rage, before I can react, you grab my steering wheel and shift it to the right and then the left. What the fuck is wrong with you? Pagal hai kya? Are you insane? How we avoided a fatal 3-car crash, I don't know. Get to the garage. Get to the garage. And I got us there. I need to get the fuck out of here. I need to get the fuck out of here. Packing my shit. Need to leave. But I can't leave. This is my family. This is my home. I love these people. And so I stay. Next morning, you demand I take you somewhere, and for fear of my safety, I refuse. Ay kuch nahi hua, chhod do yaar. Nothing happened. Leave it alone. Stop being dramatic. It's nothing, it's not a big deal. No. As I continue to refuse, I saw you get angrier, but this time, I knew what was coming. I was ready to defend myself. Stop disobeying me. I'm just protecting myself. Cuts, scratches, bite marks, ripped out piercings. I didn't want to fight my mother. I just wanted to get away from her. But I couldn't. You got on top of me, and I tried to get out from under you, but instead, you put your arm over my throat and pressed down as hard as you could. I couldn't breathe. The person who brought life into me, I thought would take it away. I kicked you off out of fear of safety for my life, ran out of the house, and drove to safety and didn't look back. I still get voicemails from you and Dad. Stop being so childish. You're being dramatic. Pakistani parents hit their kids all the time. My parents beat me when I was young. Or the worst, if you come back, we'll forgive you. The National Domestic Violence Hotline offers many reasons as to why people stay in abusive relationships. Mine was shame and normalization. Shame because I was humiliated of what had happened to me as an adult, grown-ass woman. And normalization because I associated violence with Desi culture. And it is so prevalently available. Russell Peters, somebody's gonna get a hurtin'. My peers, yeah, my parents also hit me with coat hangers. Desi parents are whack. And this is wrong. I had chosen my family over myself for too long. And this time, I chose myself. And boy, did it feel right. Mom, I will not risk my safety for the sake of keeping up cultural appearances or whatever justification you have. This is my body, and I will reclaim power over it. This is my body. Oh, I'm not done yet.
Just take your space.
I'll get there. One more minute, y'all. This is my body. It's confident. It's self-assured. It's a little kooky. It's a little clumsy. And it is not any less Pakistani or Desi for getting a septum, cutting its hair short, or escaping violence. This is my body. It is safe. It is its first priority, and it is its own protector.
Thank you, Madiha. Yes, we've been working on lots of dramatic pauses, so it might not be the end. It might not be the end. Yeah. Wait for it. So our next performer, about her, fellow performer Shamika said, "It takes a special person to be able to talk about privilege. You call out society in a way that hasn't been done and is rarely discussed. Thank you for being vulnerable and showing people that the grass isn't always greener on the other side." So our next performer, Lulu, has such a quiet strength about her, and she also cares so deeply about the words that she is saying, how it's not just how it's gonna land for other people, but what does it mean for the story that she is building. And it's been amazing just to work with her and see the story transform and be this piece that she just comes on the stage and owns and is confident about. And I know all of you are really going to enjoy her piece, which is titled "The First Rule of Being Thin."
The first rule of being thin is that you don't talk about being thin. Other people can talk about your body, of course. 你太瘦了，要多吃一点. You're too skinny, eat more. I wish I could eat anything and still be thin. Everything looks good on you because you're skinny. When people make these comments, the only acceptable response is to look down, smile graciously, as if you've been given a gift. Thin privilege is a seductive gift. There was the ex who had a habit of complimenting my body as if it was the highlight of the relationship. The friend who, when she sees I've ordered a salad, nods knowingly and says, "That's why I'll never be skinny. I don't have your self-control." So you take these gifts and you set them aside, and you try to forget about them. It's not like they mean anything. They're just things well-intentioned people say. It's not like after hearing these comments over and over, you might become attached to the ideals, to the beauty standards they represent. It's not like gift boxes ever turn into cages. Accumulate. Verb. To gather together or acquire an increasing number of. What do we accumulate in a life? Things, memories, pounds, identities. Marie Kondo says to let go of things that no longer bring you joy. But what if the thing you're trying to let go of is an identity you didn't ask for, never realized you valued, until it started to slip away, until you could no longer take it for granted, until you started to lean on food for emotional support? How do you say goodbye to an identity that's so universally rewarded in our culture? How do you say goodbye to an identity that has hooked itself into every aspect of your life? What you eat, how you eat, what you wear, how you move, the way you socialize, the things you notice about other women, the way you feel about yourself. If anyone knows the answer to that question, by the way, please come find me after the show. I'll talk to you. Here's what I do know. I am angry. Angry that I bought our culture's lie, that controlling a number on a scale means that I have control over my body. That this would keep it safe from other people's judgment. I'm angry about all the time I've wasted thinking about something as superficial and as consequential as my weight. I'm angry about how all that energy could have gone into other things, like writing poetry and learning how to cook and enjoying the company of people I love. Angry enough to want reparations from the media, from family members, from friends and coworkers and exes and strangers and everyone who has knowingly or complicitly reinforced harmful expectations of female beauty. And I'm angry with myself for not being strong enough to push back on those expectations, for not being able to separate my self-worth from how much I weigh, for not being able to not care. Buried in the middle of this anger is slow healing. I'm learning how to recognize unwanted gifts. I'm trying to surround myself with people who celebrate the qualities in me that I want to stand for. I'm not sure I'll ever be free of the daily negotiation, the constant battle between honoring my body and yielding to someone else's expectation. But I can try to nurture new identities that might grow stronger than the old vines, that might one day make the bars of this cage a distant memory. Thank you.
I feel like I need to take a little moment before we continue. If y'all want to take a deep breath with me. All right. So the reason why I wanted to take a nice deep breath is I've been learning from our next performer who has this amazing calm presence about her. I think I would describe her as maybe like a warm cup of chamomile tea. When you're having a stressful day, you're feeling tired, you're feeling anxious, you're just feeling nervous, just one look at her and her smile will just make you feel all warm and bubbly inside. She has this amazing spirit, and I'm just so amazed by the way she talks and moves. It's really, to me, just like poetry. So it's fitting that we have a fellow poet who described her, and this comes from Lauren. She says, Brittany Ray is one of those humans who ignites warmth and belonging in every room she steps foot into with the force of a million suns. I admire her vulnerability, warrior heart, and the generosity with which she shares her smile. Most of all, I admire how she constantly, tenderly elevates those around her, myself included, to step into their fierce, unapologetic selves. Thank you for courageously being you, Lauren. And by show of hands, does anyone here speak 3 languages? 3 languages, show of hands, 3 languages? Okay. Well, we're bringing up Brittany Ray, and her piece is titled Trilingual.
I learned my first language in a shaded corner on a schoolyard. Why do you talk white? The words fall from her lips between loud smacks of bubble yum gum and hang heavy in the air above my head. No, I don't. Yes, you do. She claps back, shifts her weight to sit in her hip, and snakes her chin forward. A challenge. I look around to the other girls who have gathered here, eyes pleading for someone to come to my defense. And when I see 6 sets of puzzling eyes look back at me, I realize this is not only a challenge, it is a trial. No, I trail off into silence, equal parts a prayer for the miracle of invisibility and for the sudden gift of street cred. Sandra pops her gum again. She's waiting. These girls really want an answer from me, and I'm stumbling to find one when, by the grace of the grade school gods, the bell rings and recess comes to an abrupt end. They lose interest, turn their backs on me, classroom bound, but I can't move. Feet heavy. Pinprick stinging behind the eyes. Never let them see you cry. Yo, girl, you mad funny. Nope. Yo, girl, you mad funny. Yo, girl, you mad funny. As one does when they're trying to master a language, I look to the native speakers. I try to study their cool confidence and Philly attitude. I began leaving letters hanging off the ends of words, seasoned my sentences with flavors that floated through my bedroom window at night, and I began to perform speech the way they thought a Black girl should. Then, when I was 9, my landscape changed. My mom got a new job. We packed our things and moved from the heart of Philadelphia to an apartment on the edge of a farm. Right? We traded high rises for horses, city streets for ambling creeks, but our biggest trade was leaving our colorful community for a token existence, one of a handful of Black families in the town. I moved from not being Black enough to being seen only as Black. From misunderstanding to misunderstanding, outsider to other. Calm down. There's no need to yell or get upset. Y'all know that voice. At least some of you do. It's that soft white lady voice that they use every time they think you're stepping out of line. It's a tone that mocks, and what it really says is, see how crazy and angry you sound compared to my slow and condescending diction? I'm not yelling. Well, the teachers, we've been talking, and we think you might have some anger issues. Angry, overly dramatic, crazy, volatile. These are the labels that are put on my dark skin and strong voice in white spaces. Labels made to remind me that my skin disqualifies me from the privilege of expression without consequence. They caution me to speak carefully in mixed company and remind me to hold my tongue until it aches. But these labels, they're part of a bigger strategy. A strategy to put me in a box labeled caution, angry Black woman. Thank you for that. I love thank you, Black women. It's nice that I'm loving the, I feel you, thank you. See, this box, it is centuries old. And it's crafted by fear and sanded smooth by ignorance. I've been fighting against the four walls of this box since the first day of 3rd grade. These walls designed to dismiss, distort, undermine, and flatten my whole person into trope. But I didn't understand all of that in the 3rd grade. All I understood was that I kept finding myself in situations where I would get in trouble for things I didn't understand. It seemed like nothing at all to me. What it felt like was that I was really just misunderstood and misheard. So I learned my second language. I learned to mimic them, becoming mirror again, this time reflecting a different image. Because it's easier for them to see me as whole when I sound like them. And I believed that if I thought twice before I spoke, they would think twice before trying to put me in that box. And most importantly, what I realized was that sometimes, often, in white spaces, it's not about what you say, it's about what you don't say. Don't say anything when they touch your hair without permission. Laugh along when they call you Oreo. Black on the outside, white on the inside. Smile when they say, "You're not like those black people. You're different." Stay silent when your boyfriend tells you his friends asked you if you taste different. Do not break the silence that surrounds the violence against black bodies at the hands of the state. And remember always that you are equal parts invisible and hypervisible. Always watched and held to a different code of conduct. I've been learning these lessons, and I've brought them from 3rd grade to my corporate desk. They've been refined and reinforced, and now I have been made fluent. And every day I fight against those 4 walls, fighting against that box. So I'm minding my own business. Got my whiskey, ginger, and my 2-step on the dance floor. When a couple of white guys approached me and asked me if I want to have a dance battle. Sips drink. It's my first year in San Francisco, a city that has its own complicated relationship to race. I'm with mostly white coworkers, and I decide that it's easier for me to play along than to cause a scene. I take a sip of my drink, fight back that heavy eye roll, and swallow down the impending discomfort and cringe. In this moment, I understand that I am a prop for entertainment. I am a souvenir story that they'll recount at brunch the next morning to their friends. And she must have seen that too, because from the crowd she came, pushed her way through, and she reached for me, whispering loud above the music, "You don't have to do this." It was a moment that stood still. I had never met this woman before in my life, but she read me. She saw through the act. And even though she was just there for a moment, her words stuck with me. And on the way home, I was thinking about my lifetime performance of race. Du Bois says this idea of feeling two-ness, American and Negro, 2 souls, 2 thoughts, 2 warring ideals in this black body. He calls it double consciousness, but as I'm in the Uber gliding across the Bay Bridge, I wonder if there is a third consciousness that's bigger and more complex than American or Negro. A space that exists beyond the racial construct. where I can take my place firmly in the spectrum of Blackness without being defined by it. And as I'm thinking and reflecting, I realize that I am tired. I am tired of acting, performing, code switching, gum popping, tongue holding, box fighting. I am tired. But I am grateful for my weariness because it led me to my third language. In the relationship that I've begun to cultivate with nature, I've met a teacher through the trees. Standing firm in their ground, no matter the terrain or audience. Roots connected to earth in a forest of their ancestors, supported. Unapologetically standing tall in their dark bark and halo of leaves. The trees gave me the gift of myself. I am bigger than black. I am bigger than white. I am a woman of two worlds, but a daughter of the earth. So the next time someone asks me why I talk white, I will look at them, rooting my feet into earth, and say, I don't talk white. I speak trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. I would also just like to take the time to recognize all the black women in the room. Yes, we always show up, and that may all of us find our third language. Yes. Lauren is vibrancy personified. From the flash of her smile to the flare of her style, we would be so lucky that she knows her resiliency and beauty, because we all need to be around more of some of that. Sarah. Lauren, our next performer, the confidence that Lauren has as she navigates her story, but also she weaves it together. Lauren's able to take you across a journey of time and place and generations and find the ways that all of those stories weave together in a way that really not just centers the ancestors and those who are with her always, but in a way that lets you know that she also knows herself so very well. And I'm really excited for you all to hear her piece entitled, This Story is for You.
The stranger's face was like sunken, tattered leather. White hate swings from beneath the baseball cap. Lessons learned that day. 1, words burn holes through bellies. 2, when he says, shut the fuck up, you chink-ass bitch, believe him, he means it. 3, monsters don't lurk in the shadows. They bask in the sun rays of Golden Gate Park at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. 4, rearing up like a snake ready to strike, he'll say, go back to your country. And if you don't get out, I will make you get out. Brace, body for impact. 5, 10 minutes feels like 10 lifetimes as he follows you. He'll breathe daggers down each vertebra, stitching your body together as legs fly anywhere but here, anywhere but here. During said 10 minutes, my body was hungry. Eyes starved for sticks, rocks, stones, anything to defend myself, but none of which were to be found here. Hungry eyes finally spot a giant log and you'll think almost, really, Fuck. Yes, it was scary. All of it. But that's not what I remember the most. Even after he was swallowed by San Francisco wildflowers, his hatred remained. Hot at your heels, his hatred, hot at your heels, follows you home, seeps under your door, suffocates you as your body trembles, rocking, curled in a ball on your bedroom floor. You'll ask, what does this mean? What does this mean? A question that really asks why, after 5 generations in this country, can we still never belong? Lessons learned in that day's wake. 1, the white policeman and white policewoman, privilege shimmering across porcelain skin, have been bred to blame you. They'll ask, what did you do to provoke this man? They'll ask, did you do anything to instigate this man? They'll ask, were you walking anywhere in the park you shouldn't have been that day? 2, lectures are given without permission to those who cannot fend for themselves because as a small girl new to a big city, you really need to be more aware of your surroundings and prioritize your safety. 3, 5 asks to file a police report will be met with a no by the mouth of an officer who knows it's illegal. I don't believe this was a hate crime. Turns mantra, affirmed over and over and over again until he who proclaims it knows it to be truth. 4, those entrusted with your rights will walk all over them saying, I am not belittling you. Do you hear me, dear? I'm not belittling you. 5, your body can churn with raging emptiness. Your body can sit on the floor of the shower, water scalding skin, not knowing whether or not you're even crying. On some days, my mom says, the past is in the past. On other days, my dad says, to know who you are, you must know where you come from. We are here. 5 generations in this country and still finding our way back home. My great-great-grandparents came here by way of sugarcane, pulled by the promise of a better life. We have been chasing that promise ever since. You, this body, here and now, my child, we exist because of them. Our ancestors tilled this earth tender before you were born, excavated rocks on bent knees so you may blossom in this fertile soil. Lessons learned in the aftermath. 1, my body is resilient. 2, that which we carry for a reason. 3, sometimes it's a hate crime that shakes you awake. 4, the healers will come. They'll teach you tears do water the seeds of transformation within us. 5, we can always rewrite our own creation stories. I am rewriting my creation story. On this day, on this stage, love, this story is for you.
Hope everyone's enjoying the show so far. Aren't these amazing women just incredible?
And you all have been such a phenomenal audience. Please clap along, snap along. Thank you all so much for being so great.
Yeah, and so we just wanted to take the time to thank some people who have really created a village around us to make all of this possible, and we're so grateful for all of them.
So we're just going to do some quick thank yous before we let you all loose for intermission to go grab a restroom break, check out the merchandise. But we want to thank Paige Mays, who couldn't join us today, but Paige is an amazing performance artist, and she helped us shape some of the performances here today. We'd also like to thank Tyler Richendaler, who is our photographer and was taking snaps of all our amazing performers before the show. We'd also like to thank Francois, who's right over there. He was the bouncer. He's a rocket scientist by day and a Novalia staff member by weekends and nights, so really grateful for his support. And then we'd also like to thank Jesse Gurney, who is right over there. He's our videographer. And Jesse and I actually met last year at an after party for the performance, and he just came up and said, I want to help, how can I help? So we've been envisioning what the after product of this will look like. So really excited for you all to see what the video product of this whole process with the performers will look like in the end. So really thank you, and if you'd like to contact him, we'll have his Instagram up, but you can follow him at Journeys of Gurney.
And I would like to thank Pastor Michael McBride, Pastor Erna Hackett, and Michael Carpenter, who's back there doing all the AV and lights, for just opening up this space for us. It means a lot. This is my faith community, and for them to always support the work that I do is just phenomenal. Also like to thank my friend Charlie Detman for also helping at the front and always being supportive. We'd like to thank my roommates, Eric, Christina, Cherry, and Alex for always opening up the home, whether we're doing our taxes or filming, and that's always great to have that space. And also J.K. Fowler and Nomadic Press. We've been part of their incubator program out of the Oakland Peace Center on Fairmount, and just having a space in which we can always know that we can go to, and really just supporting all the creatives in the East Bay and making that possible. That's been really great to have as well.
And we'd also like to thank the scholarship donors. So we want to make sure that the program is accessible to everyone. And so we want to thank the following people for contributing to the scholarship fund. And that's Aubrey Francisco, Jeremy Hoon, Brendan Hood, and someone who we wanted to not be named and want to be labeled as friend of the show.
But he's an amazing person, and he knows who he is.
So with that, we're going to let you all go for intermission. It's going to be 15 minutes, give you a break, take some time to sit with your thoughts, kind of soak it all in. Also check out the merchandise table, check out the restroom if you need to go. So please come back in 15 minutes, and we'll have a timer clock here, and we'll also be shuttling you through. So thank you so much for being a great audience, and hope you look forward to the second half.
This is my body, laying on my bed, asleep in my room, on familiar sheets, in my sanctuary, out of my clothes and in my skin. This is my home. I'm in undergrad, and life is good. I'm living my best life years before it becomes a song. What's this? A girl who's been set up in her sleep for a naked photo with a used condom placed on her body next to a fraternity shirt and bracelet, and a poster board from when she crossed her sorority with her name on it. And that's not all. It's been shared as a trophy with 1 to 50 to hundreds of people on GroupMe. This is sick and twisted. Wait a second. What does that say? That's my name. As I view this very image on a phone that I never knew was being taken and never gave permission to exist, I am experiencing an invasion of my home. This is my body, asleep in my room, laying in my bed on familiar sheets,
in my sanctuary, out of my clothes and in my skin. This is my home. This is my home being desecrated in what seems to be live action, my sacred space, and it's been exposed to the world that is our college campus. And I'm not the only one viewing this image, because in the rising age of technology, news of home invasion spreads rapidly without means to an end. Everyone's got it, but no one knows where it came from. I do. It was you. You who came here with the plan to get a lay of the land, to steal my sense of security, to take advantage of my innocence, to disrupt my sphere of comfort, to dismantle any semblance of trust, and to leave. Quietly, yet unmistakably so. But this isn't about you. I have a disorder in my right leg that causes me pain when I'm stressed. This pain can be debilitating to the point where I'm unable to walk. This physical manifestation of stress in my body is the reason I never saw myself participating in a range of activities, like running. Before I decide to move to the Bay, I look around, and I am tired of living this tiny little existence of a life that I have stuffed into the corners of the city of my alma mater, where I remained after I graduated. Randomly, from time to time, running into former classmates, instantly feeling that shooting pain up my right leg, stressed, thinking, did they see that photo? What are they thinking of me? Will they mention it? I ache of physical anxiety and exposure, of social anxiety and exposure, wanting to make myself disappear. I would rather hide in the house than to have to confront the remembrance of shame. But the decision to relocate across the country gives me permission to shed this shame and to come out of hiding. This is my fresh start. Or so I thought. When I moved to the Bay in the summer of 2018, I feel I am home free. Until I am unexpectedly triggered by that traumatic home invasion from so many years before. It all comes rushing back when I realize I moved to the same city where he lived, where he was from, and now living as well. But because of this news, I know that this is a sign. This is a sign that this is my time to resolve to override the physical pain in my body, the undoing of years of silence, the rebuilding of my self-worth. This is it. So, I take to the pavement, something I have never done before and never dreamt of doing. One step at a time. Left foot, right foot, pain. Left foot, right foot, until I am pounding the pavement, crushing the concrete beneath my feet, which feels like crushing the humiliation Hold had on me. The hold humiliation had on me. I remember hearing the words, "Drop it, Jade. You took this too far. It wasn't that serious. Everybody slips up." Left foot, right foot, pain. "You'll be fine. It's just drop it. You took this too far." Left foot, right foot. "Females are emotionally unstable." Left foot, right foot. "I thought you dropped this by now." Left foot, right foot, pain. Remembering the bile rising inside my throat the moment he walked into my health class mid-May, wanting to escape and getting out of the building before tears burst through my eyes, realizing that I had not taken a breath since. Left foot, right foot. Retelling my story to one detective after the next, after the next, after the next, reliving every single detail, recalling all of the things that I want to not be real. Left foot, right foot. Hearing the words, "The court of law finds you guilty," and feeling for one instant moment relief that some justice has been served. Left foot, right foot, pain. Beating the betrayal of those who turned their backs on me in crude judgment in my darkest hour. Erasing the regret, the resentment, and the rage, and finding release. This is the renovation of my home, the restoration of me. Left foot, right foot. As the pounds melt off of my body, so does the sickness of shame, the heaviness of hiding, the regret and the rage. And so comes forgiveness and fortitude. Left foot, right foot. I feel the rain pouring down my face, and I cannot tell the difference between it and my tears flowing freely. I inhale deeply and exhale slowly, freeing my breath, running to and no longer running from. This is my body, laying on my bed, asleep in my room, on familiar sheets, in my sanctuary, out of my clothes and in my skin. This is still my home. I feel like I need to take a deep breath and a pause after every performance, but we know you're all on a time schedule. So, I have the honor of introducing this next performer. And before I share a little bit about her, Jade Olivia, who just performed, also sent in a message about her. Kiara is thoughtful, humble, resilient, and she's someone who enjoys expressing herself through dance. She is courageously confident and tremendously talented. Kiara is an artist committed to her craft in the face of adversity.
And I'm really blessed to be on this journey with Kiara. She shared with me recently that she joined the program because she wanted to be uncomfortable, and she knew this would make her uncomfortable. And I've always appreciated her honesty and her resilience to push through all of it. I'm so honored that she's here and willing to share with us. She has an amazing story, and I'm really excited for you all to bask in her story and bask in her glory. So, Kiara, please join us on the stage.
Thank you. This is the body of a pole dancer. And I do have a corporate job, but pole dancing has been a stress reliever for me. It lifts my spirits when I'm feeling down, and it's given me a new sense of confidence, a sense of liberation. Pole dancing has taught me to feel comfortable in my decisions and be empowered in being unapologetic. One day my instructor said to me, "Kiara, I love watching you dance because that's when you stop thinking. That's when you're most free." Funny she said that. I only recently learned what imposter syndrome really means. I mean, I've long known what the term is, but I only recently learned what it means. Over the last couple of months, I have had an apparent season of fruitfulness, so many beautiful things happening. I was promoted at work. I started to see my tribe fall together. I received a recommendation from someone I really admire, and I was being considered for opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise thought myself qualified for. As I shared all of that with my friends and my family and my coworkers, it was clear to me that they were genuinely excited for me. But I was a little bit less excited because I knew that for me, that meant that all of these experiences would bring anxiety. I knew that at some point I would get stuck on something and my mind would just stay there and keep spinning over and over on those thoughts. For me, that meant lost sleep, but lots of fatigue. It meant that if I did sleep, I'd probably be having bad dreams, so it wasn't great anyway. It meant that I had days long of migraines, a lot of tears, and I can't forget the rashes that came along with it. It was as if I had never written or spoken up for myself before. I was having so much trouble trying to compose myself to complete any task that would help me reach for those things that I wanted for myself. In trying to maintain as this confident and poised and strong person that people know me to be, that means keeping what's inside in. Meanwhile, my body is pleading with me to let it out, reaching to these extremes, trying to claim its freedom. For all those hours that I spent questioning myself, asking, who would support me in this? Am I actually qualified for that? Do I really deserve it? No? Okay, well, that's fine. Maybe it's just not for me. I was counting myself out. I often ask myself, is all of that stress and worry worth it? See, there's something I didn't tell you guys earlier, and that is that when I was getting dressed to go to that dance class, I was changing my clothes and my hand brushed against my stomach, and I stopped and looked in the mirror and I realized that a rash had appeared there. That means that it had crept from the tops of my feet up to my thighs. It wrapped around my hips and it was crawling up my stomach and my back. And I paused and I thought, well, thank goodness I'm not climbing or inverting today. And for those of you who aren't pole dancers, that means that I was able to go to class covered. I could wear leggings and sleeves if I wanted to. And I didn't have to expose myself. So again, I asked myself, is all of that stress and worry worth it? Because not only had it found its way to creep into my corner of freedom and marry the thing that I enjoy most with something I could do most without, in the end, none of those things that I was obsessing over worked out as I expected them to. And so, again, I'm still questioning whether all of that worry and stress is worth it.
That it makes your vision blurry, and I can't help but worry. Love is love, and there's no hurry. Still, though, I can't help but worry. That it makes your vision blurry, and I can't help but worry. Love is love, and there's no hurry. Still, though, I can't help but worry.
The question is whether or not somebody is taking your mind. We have a feeling that when you are free here and that free will exists, there's always the possibility of us becoming physically free.
Delusion.
But it starts up here.
Delusion. Delusion.
Such a great video. Thank you, Kiara. So our next performer, Shamika, her piece, I really love hearing it because it's the one that I find myself really just like snapping and clapping along because it's like everything that I've ever like thought in my mind. I'm like, yes, yes, great point, that one, yes, all of it. And so the ability for her piece to be like honest and vulnerable and funny, it's not easy to like say something really poignant and also like weave in these moments of humor so seamlessly the way that Shamika does. And we've all really appreciated just hearing her do that and like watching as her story progresses. And her fellow performer, Brittany Ray, said of her, "Thank you for always showing up authentically yourself. You have such a warmth and a quiet strength about you that I've come to really love and appreciate. You may not always know what path to take, but you have the courage to get it all out. Stand back and wade through the messiness of it all to find your story. Grateful to have experienced this alongside you, and I know we all feel the same. So please help me welcome Shamika and her piece, That Body."
This wasn't always my body. Then whose body was it? I'll tell you, a mix. 1/3 family views, 2/3 peer pressure, and a heavy dose of the media. Basically, one body full of internalized views for society. That body was 11 years old when she went to that awkward, very awkward middle school assembly. You know, the one where the boys and girls are sent to separate rooms to watch that cringe-worthy video. The one about hormones, body hair, and periods. That body had gotten its period. And it was feeling like a young lady. Prickly hairs had begun forming, taking over what used to be smooth skin. Shaving felt like a rite of passage into womanhood. At least it seemed that way. That body, it grew into a 20-something-year-old who rarely shaved her legs, out of pure laziness. But was I lazy? Or had I finally acknowledged society's gender double standard that tells us that men can have all of the hair, but women, the same species, is for some reason expected to be hairless? Make it make sense. Not only is it emotionally taxing, shaving, but it's costly. One time I created a budget and realized I was about to spend $240 getting my eyebrows done in a year. That's an international flight. Why was I trying to get fleeky eyebrows? It's a no. It was easy for me to stop cold turkey because I had never consistently got them done, and I always viewed them as an enhancement to my beauty, never a necessity. Prickly leg hairs, bushy eyebrows. But what you've all been thinking is, what about her vagina? Her pussycat. Her coochie. You know, down there. No, I don't shave my vagina. But the question is, were y'all really thinking about my coochie hair? Or was it society's views that I had ingested that made me think for some reason that's what you were all wondering? Or was it teenage Shamika, who had seen Scary Movie, you know, the funny one, and remembers that scene where the guy spends minutes trying to cut, dive, and finagle his way through a woman's pubic hair? Or was it the silence? The not so talked about pubic hair only ever discussed in reference to removal? It was these experiences that led me to feel insecure when I decided to bare my full bush to my first partner. But that partner and the partners to come were never concerned with it. It just made me think that maybe it was another gender double standard where women felt one way, but men never actually cared. Prickly leg hairs, bushy eyebrows, full bush. The hardest part was letting my armpit hair grow. As a Black woman in San Francisco, I already get stared at a lot. I was not trying to bring extra attention to myself. But eventually I caved. After seeing Emily in twerk class, dancing, carefree, armpit hair and all. Little did I know, she was the representation I needed to stand in my truth. It's been 3 years now, fully hairy. But looking back, I realized the questions that had always lingered was, Why am I shaving? Rite of passage, my ass. Why shave when it's just gonna grow back? Why was I going against what my body wanted to do? It wants to grow hair. Who knew it was such a radical act to love myself, to love my body as I am? People still stare at my body hair. And it may make them uncomfortable, and that's for them to reconcile with themselves. My body hair has taught me what it is to be me and in my body. It's taught me to stand my ground, to question how and why I am adhering to societal standards that I never signed up for. But that body has grown into this body. This body, a mix. 1/3 bucket. 2/3 self-acceptance. And a heavy dose of self-love. I won't let you, or any of you have her. I won't let society have her. I will fight for her. Because I am enough as I am. This is my body. Thank you.
Because of Shamika's performance, every time I look at a razor, I think twice. So thank you for that. She's going to take down the hair removal industry, everybody. Whew. The next person I'd like to introduce is Mariko, and this is what Brittany has to say about her. Mariko is a marvelous magic maker with her words. Her storytelling transports you to the depths of her heart and leaves you transformed and expanded after listening to her journey. Prepare to be #blessed. And I've been so fortunate to be able to work with Mariko on some of her pieces. When she first came to some of our workshops, I think she had 5 different stories, and I want to hear all of them. But, and considering time, we're not able to talk about all the 5 stories, but the story that she settled in or selected is such a beautiful piece of her journey, and I'm so thrilled and excited to be a witness to the culmination of it, and I'm really excited to see all the stories that she has to tell moving forward, because the way that she just has such an amazing way of words and transporting you and taking you into her world with her calm, quiet, and peaceful but powerful presence. So please help welcome Mariko.
enough. So I'm special, but you should be able to tell just by looking at me. I mean, I figured it out early. I'm biracial, was raised by my white mom and family, and one of few people of color in the neighborhood. So I was pretty young when I realized that my skin is special. For one, it changed colors. My skin would soak up the sun so quickly that after a day of playing outside, I was a whole different color than I was at the start. And I know that's not a big deal to many. I mean, just wear sunscreen, be careful of things that give you weird tan lines, but I watched my mom and tried the same routine she did, but mine just came with needs that couldn't be met in the same way. It also invited feedback. We went out at the same time. I can't believe you have tan lines already. I wish I could be tan like you. You're getting dark. Be careful, you're light skinned. You don't want to get too much darker than that. And it's crazy how much lighter you are in winter than summer. It's weird. Now, there's nothing like getting constant, unsolicited feedback all the time from friends, from strangers, none of which your family gets, by the way, to really make you feel special. Not to mention that this special skin gets me followed in stores and ignored in store counters, at least until they see me rejoin my white family or call that one woman mom. That's a story for another day. Because this body only got more special over the years. For one, puberty gifted me height and size 11 feet, just like my mom. And so it meant I could find shoes that fit in her closet, but it's a lot harder in a store. So few size 11s are out there that they usually come with this bright yellow sticker. And I admit it makes shopping faster. I can just look for the sticker and then worry about the shoes. Because if I look for shoes I like, it usually comes with, it's not in stock here, or we don't carry that size disappointment. And this became especially true when I started gaining weight, because now shopping is even faster. I don't have to comb the racks looking for a sticker, because now I got my own section. It's usually called plus size or women's wear, always separate from, never as big as, ironically enough, the one for the regular women. And I've realized that I'm not just the only one like me and my family special, but I'm not your target customer, so you don't make as much stuff for me special. Not quite you need something custom made special, but definitely you need a special section or sticker. And this isn't what you wanted, but it's the closest you're gonna get, so just take it special. And then there's my hair. And now I love my hair. I love it's naturally curly and big, and it just feels like there's so much I always don't know, even now. I don't know why it takes me so much longer to wash my hair than yours. And I don't know what happened. I tried the same methods and products you did, but mine's dry and matted. And I don't know her. She's a stranger. She just reached out and touched my hair. That happens all the time. When I was young, my mom took me to her salon for a cut, and there's something about being turned away because we don't do ethnic hair here to remind you that you're special. Especially since the black salons weren't thrilled to see me either because we don't do natural hair here. So special. So what do I do with this special body? Well, one, I do my homework, which Target stores have the whole half the side of an aisle for natural hair care products instead of just that tiny section on the end. Who carries size 11 shoes and labels them and is likely to have more than a handful in stock? Who has extended sizes and styles I might actually like? My in-store options are limited, so I know how to find the discounts to offset the shipping prices for the products and clothes and shoes I can only find online. I know when I go to a salon for the first time to wear my hair down to see if they look scared when I walk in the door. And when to tell my stylist to stop before trying that curly hair method. They just learned, because that doesn't end well. And what else do I do with this special body? Well, I settle. I settle a lot. I can't find ones that I like and fit, so I just started pretending that having cute shoes and clothes I like just isn't something I care about. I sometimes go years before I can find someone that can really handle my hair, so when it's in that funky growing out stage, I just pull it back, sometimes for years, and pretend like I don't feel most like me when it's down. I know how I want to look, but I can't always find enough specialty versions to make that happen. And it's exhausting and demoralizing. I don't want to live in fear of uniforms and coordinated outfits where everybody else is identical and I'm in the closest match we could find. I just want to go to a store to get what I need and to try things on there and not question if I should return that shirt that just didn't fit quite right because do I really want to take the time to mail it back, or because I know I'm not even going to get a full refund because of restocking fees. Why do I have to pay just to try things on? Being special has made it really hard to represent myself as I truly am and not the version I settled for. Some days I don't go outside, events where I never leave the parking lot because I just can't get this version of me to walk through the door where it feels just so disconnected from who I truly am. The average woman's clothing size in the US is now between a 16 and an 18. There are over 5 million women in the US wearing size 11 shoes. I'm not that special. And you should be able to tell just by looking at me. Thank you.
So we are down to our final performer, and I've definitely spent Vina and I spend many months with these women, but just like seeing everything on stage, like I have so many emotions right now, and I spent the whole night smiling or crying or smile crying. It's some combination of all of that, and just so incredibly just inspired and in awe of everything happening tonight. And thank you all for being on that journey with us. Our next performer, Sarah. So I have a very personal connection with Sarah. Sarah and I, every Thursday, lead a small group, and some of our small groups out of my house. And so when we realized that was happening, and she was also going to be part of This Is My Body, we're like, we're going to see each other all the time. I even just ran into her at Alvin Ailey the other night. And so we had dubbed it the Spring of Sarah and Delia. And it has not disappointed. Like Sarah's kindness and her friendship and just what she has like brought into my life and my home has just been an abundance of everything that I didn't know that I needed until I then had it. And Sarah's piece reminds me that there are stories that live with us constantly, and we carry them. And when we revisit them, we are still learning new things about those stories over and over again. And it is important for us to continue to examine the things that we still live with. And Madiha wrote a really wonderful introduction for you that I wanted to read. Our next performer is a refreshing force. Sarah is kind, warm, and supportive. A powerful voice that has brought stories with intention to our workshops as we see her navigate the range of topics and themes of her storytelling, from literal clothing layers to the layers of identity and relationships. Her writing is like a mode of transportation, ready to take you through the world where she's paving her way. I'm excited to introduce you to Sarah and her piece, Who Says I'm Free?
Take a good look at my body. How do I look? How do I look? Correct. I look good, that's how I look. It's because those Asians don't raisin. No, we don't. Can you believe I'm 31? I look like I'm gonna live forever. Or not. You may not be able to guess, but there is a battle being waged inside my body right now. My body is actively fighting against itself so much, I actually have to take meds to suppress its strength, just so it doesn't hurt me so much. You see, Western doctors have told me
that I have a lifelong disease called lupus. It's where the immune system attacks the body, and specifically my kidneys. So I have kidney disease as well. What that looks like is a lot of fatigue, and at some point I'll probably have to be hooked up to a machine that will clean my blood out for me. Maybe hopefully receive a kidney from a stranger. The worst part of it, though, is that all of this can happen in the span of a day or a long and happy life. I was 11 years old when they told me, barely starting out, and there is no cure. This sobering picture of my future is an educated guess for what I could expect, based on countless other patients with my condition and what little research has been done. So I began to live preventatively, making smaller choices because I couldn't afford the risk. And even the times I reached for the things that I wanted, my body would cut me down, grounding me when I wanted to fly, grounding me with depression, with shingles, with slivers of my kidneys being cut out to see how far they had failed. That's a terrible story. I don't like that story. But this isn't the battle that I was referring to. You see, I also believe in a God who heals. And all you have to do is ask. Sometimes God says no, but sometimes God says yes. I've heard the stories. They're even written down. God provided an alternative narrative that involved a healing that could free me from me. Can you imagine? So I face these two stories that are simultaneously true and yet mutually contradicting. A life dependent on pills and dependent on God. A life of chronic illness and a life of promised freedom. And depending on which narrative I chose to believe in, my body would bear the consequences. There was one time we were testing out this experimental treatment, and I had to inject myself for 6 months. I would alternate my thighs just so it wouldn't bruise me so much. There was another time I was at this charismatic church, very into the Holy Spirit, and this team is praying over me, and of course my body's on the floor because they push me down, and it's what they do, it's what they do. And the team sees water washing over me and over my kidneys. I didn't even tell them about that. So in faith, my family and I decided to come off of meds completely. We wanted to believe God had done something. And 2 months later, I'm holding fallen out hair in my hands, holding back tears in my eyes because I knew I had to go back on meds again. Honestly, it's much easier to believe in one story and make my peace with it. But with two, I'm dragging myself to the pharmacy to refill pills again. I'm dragging myself up to the altar to ask for healing again. Holding both most days. I actually used to collect those orange pill bottles in shoe boxes, just waiting for the day that I wouldn't need them anymore, and I can just burn them in a toxic bonfire. It was gonna be glorious and large and done. But as I was collecting, the years collected as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This year makes 17. My closet's not that big, so I just ended up throwing them all away. But then, something new happened. 3 years ago, my doctor called me telling me that my body was stable enough where I could come off of meds completely. My doctors called it remission. My church called it a healing, but I called it my freedom. I could live life like a normal human being. Are you for real? Nothing to hold me back, but nothing to excuse me either. I get the same shot of life as any of you. Oh, God. It felt like I was getting away with something illegal. I could breathe deeply. Time felt long, and anything was possible because anything was possible. I quit my stable job. I became an editor of a magazine. I fell in love with that guy. I moved to a beautiful city just because I wanted to. And I cherished my mistakes because I knew any failure on my part wouldn't end up with me back in a hospital. What a beautiful story of God's finished goodness in my life. I felt whole, complete, and just ready to make up for lost time. For 1 year, I got to know that freedom for 1 year. In March of 2017, I noticed my thighs were a little swollen, and I watched in dismay as they crept up my legs. It pillowed on my arms, my face, and my fingers, and I realized that if fluid was collecting in my tissues, then lupus was back. But what a gift that 1 year had been. I got to explore my freedom unencumbered, test what I was made of without anything holding me down. That year made freedom recognizable to me. Enough to know that I still had such freedom when lupus came back, enough to continue in the choices that I had made while still free. I still felt free. What is the nature of this freedom? That I was back in the same circumstances that enslaved me, to drugs, to fear and precaution, but I still felt free. I didn't see the need to move back home. I had a job that was accommodating of my fatigue. I had medical insurance that wasn't even attached to my job. I always thought healing meant complete freedom from meds. That I would have a new body taking care of me the way it was made to. But one day my friend Anne told me that healing can be defined in more ways than one. You see, for some, healing is achieved when someone can resume living a normal life with the support of meds. It's so obvious now, but why didn't anyone tell me? There is no language to bridge the body and the spirit, even though it's all right here. My doctor dealt life-changing news and only dealt with the physical. My faith does not know how to expand its definition of a miracle to include a pharmaceutical. What if I had been free this entire time? What if I had been free this entire time? What if I had been free this entire time? What if I had been free? What if I had been free this entire time? What if I had been free this entire time? What if I had been free? I am still free. 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 I am still free.
Thank you, Sarah. So, taking our own moments. You heard 10 incredible stories here tonight, and I wanted, as a parting gift to you all, to leave you with some incredible lines from those and just have a sit in it for a few seconds. Loving yourself will never come from chasing the ideals in a society that was not built to understand your majesty. I'm no longer willing to risk my safety for the sake of keeping up cultural appearances. I can try to nurture new identities that might grow stronger than the old vines. But what if there's a third consciousness, a true self that is bigger and more complex? We can always rewrite our own creation stories. This is a renovation of my home, the restoration of me. My body reaches for these extremes, manifesting physically, pleading with me to seek feelings of freedom, to question why and how I am adhering to societal standards that I never signed up for. You should be able to tell just by looking at me, what if I had been free the entire time? So I just want us to sit in those for a few seconds. Thank you.
So to close out our performance, we'd love to just thank these amazing performers. Can we give them a round of applause, everybody? Yes. Standing ovation. Yes. Woo. It has been such a blessing, an honor, and a gift to join you all on this journey. I mean, it takes so much to be able to share these stories on stage, some for the very first time, some to family members for the very first time. Sorry, I'm getting a little snot coming out here, not cute. Vulnerability, right? And at our sessions, it was just filled with like laughter, tears, hugging, support. It was just so beautiful, and thank you all for trusting us, trusting the process, trusting each other to be a part of this journey. And there's this word in Vietnamese, which means, it's buong vui, which means like sad, happy. Like I'm so happy and so proud of all of this that we've been able to accomplish, but I'm so sad that we won't have our Saturdays together anymore, where we're meeting in this, we're just meeting in this beautiful space, writing and creating and doing all these things together. But I'm so happy that we've been able to put this thing together because you've all shared such beautiful and moving pieces that I'm sure have really affected the audience in such wonderful ways. So thank you so much. And we'd also like to thank you, the audience, for being here. Please give yourself a round of applause. And to you online, I wish I forgot that we had a live stream going. I shouldn't have revealed about the snot, but it's okay, supportive audience. Thank you all so much for being here. I know, I know. Anyways, thank you all for being here. You all have been such a supportive audience. You laughed, you clapped, you snapped, you've done all the great things. And it really makes a difference when you come here and you show up and you're that community for us. So we now, we have this beautiful community of writers. We welcome you to join our community as well. At the Collective, we believe that magic happens when we all come together to make it happen. So if this really resonated with you and you're like, I want to do something about this, I want to sit in this moment a little bit longer, I'm not ready to leave and go to the weekend without doing something, we have an experience, if you're interested, it's called the This Is My Body Boot Camp. So we're going to take this experience and kind of cram it all into 5 hours. Like I said, we make magic happen sometimes. And that takes place all the time. So that takes place June 1st, but also there's a list of programming on the brochure that you all received on your seat, which lists all of our programming that we have coming up related to storytelling and community building. There's something in there for everybody. So we want you to take this away, and if there's something that you feel like there's a call to action or something you want to express or explore, we'd love to be on that journey with you.
And just a few housekeeping things before we let you go. If you have any trash, please make sure that you take it out with you. And then also, we welcome you to join us. We're going to Gomenkitzel. Yes, it's up there, because I was like, ooh, people might not know where that is. It is around the corner. It's a German place. Just like eat and drink and just like enjoy more time together. And also, I just want to, as a reminder, remind you that like these were very raw stories, and there might be things that are coming up for people in the audience. So as everyone is saying bye and engaging, if you come with us to the restaurant, just be mindful of that in the conversations you have with people, and let people invite you in to go a little bit deeper to explore feelings, so that we can just honor what might be coming up for everyone, especially the performers. And yeah, with that, like, thank you again so much. Check out the ways to engage with us, and be blessed.
Great, thank you.